say.
Good evening. Good evening and welcome to the Board of Commissioners zoning public hearing. It is March 28, 2024 at 6 p.m. This time I'd please request that you silence all cell phones and all other electronic devices. As we get started, I'll ask Commissioner Gwen Flowers-Taylor to deliver the invocation, and I'll ask Commissioner Rita Johnson to lead us in the pledge to the flag.
Oh, sorry.
Go ahead.
I'm good.
No, Gwen, it's you.
Oh, you want me to pray?
Excuse me.
Bow your head, please. Lord, help me to be on time in the future. Father God, we come to you this evening in gratefulness and in thanksgiving. Thanksgiving for being able to be awakened this morning and to be able to enjoy life on this wonderful planet that you've blessed us with. We ask you to be in our heads and our hearts tonight as we make decisions that will be in the best interest of the citizens of Spalding County. These things we ask in the name of your Son, Jesus. Amen.
Amen. If you would please join me in the pledge to our flag. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you, ladies. Item number 4, public hearing. Persons desiring to speak must sign in the appropriate application. When called, speakers must state their name and address, and direct all comments to the board only. Speakers will be allotted 3 minutes to speak on their chosen topics as they relate to the matters being considered by the Board of Commissioners on this agenda. No questions will be asked by any of the commissioners during citizen comments. Outbursts from the audience will not be tolerated. Common courtesy and civility are expected at all times during the meeting. Dr. Ledbetter, has anybody signed up to speak?
No, sir. No one has signed up to speak this evening.
All right. Item number 5, new business. Consider an extension to the moratorium for building permits and rezoning within the former Sunnyside city limits from April 30, 2024 to June 30, 2024.
Yes, sir. Thank you. We just asked for this time, my being new to the department. We just need to study the map and see what makes sense. You'll see an image of the current zoning, and the outer edge is Spalding County zoning. So we'll just need to meet and put forth a proposal of what will make continuity and harmony as we move their zoning into what we perceive to be the best Spalding County zoning.
Okay. So everybody understands Sunnyside turned their charter back in through the General Assembly, and so they are no longer a qualified government with us. That means we have to the county takes over that land to be able to do something with it. Everything that's got to be done to be a city now reverts to us, and we're trying to get our arms around it. At the same time, we're trying to get a new community development director on board.
Yes, sir.
All right, do I have a motion to approve?
Motion to approve.
Do I have a second? I have a motion and a second. Any more discussion?
Yes. Will we be doing anything different in terms of how we are looking at our future land use map? Because now that that area is not a municipality, how are we going to address how we want that to develop? Or will our map change? I'm
Well,
looking at you 'cause I'm
if the
thinking-
current future land use map doesn't consider Sunnyside, well, it's in the county, so, but we just, and we have a lead to follow because the neighboring parcels and some are cut in half. So in other words, if the residential zoning is in Spalding, and it may just make sense to continue it into that parcel. There may be some desire from the Board of Commissioners to see a more commercial area on certain corridors. And then once you make the determination for the final zoning in that area, you would just update your future land use map to reflect those decisions.
That's exactly what I was trying to get at. We
Yes.
will have to look at how we want that to look in terms of the comprehensive plan?
No, well, yes, but not in any more than just adopting the map once you
Right.
decide what the zoning is.
Okay,
Yes, ma'am.
thank you.
All right. Any more discussion? All right, all those in favor, please signify by raising your hand. 5-0, motion carries.
Serious business.
Item number 2, acceptance of RFQ and appointment of the county attorney. Dr. Ledbetter, could you lead us to where we are right now?
So the staff did request for qualification for each of the attorneys for county, zoning, and for HR. We received 2 bids for each. The bid for the county attorney was from Beck, Owen and Murray and from Ken Gerard's firm in North Georgia. The Board of Commissioners did meet with each one of the bidders and interviewed them, and you guys made the decision on which one because staff was not a part of that. So this is going to be your appointment for county attorney, and then we will have 2 additional agenda items for zoning and for HR. So at this time, we would ask that you guys have consideration for the appointment of the county attorney.
Mr. Chairman, I'd like to make a motion to approve Beck, Owen, and Murray as the county attorneys.
All right, I have a motion to accept RFQ from Beck, Owen and Murray. Do I have a second?
Second.
I have a motion and a second. Any more discussion? All those in favor, please signify by raising your hand. 5-0.
Were you gonna say something?
Big smile, I hope.
Get you-
Item number 2, acceptance of RFQ for appointment of the county attorney, zoning attorney.
Mr. Chairman, same discussion, so this would be for your consideration of the zoning attorney. Again, we had 2 qualified bidders who were a part of the program. One was Mr. Newton Galloway. The other was Mr. Ken Gerard and his firm in North Georgia.
All right, do I have a motion?
Motion to approve?
Uh,
Newton Galloway.
Okay.
Sorry.
All right, yes. All right, I have a
We should've known
motion
that.
for Newton Galloway. Do I have a second?
Yeah, yes.
I'm sorry. And a second. Any discussion? All those in favor, please signify by raising your hand. 5-0 unanimous. Thank you, both attorneys, for volunteering to do it again. We appreciate that. All right. Acceptance of RFQ for appointment to human resource attorney.
Mr. Chairman, we had 2 qualified bidders for this position for HR. One was from Ken Gerard and his firm. The other was from Constangi Group. We were unable to work with Constangi Group to find a date and time for that interview, but Mr. Gerard's firm did come down for the interview, and we would ask for your consideration of appointment of the HR attorney.
Yeah, Mr. Chairman, motion to award Ken Gerard the HR attorney.
All right. I have a motion. Do I have a second? Second. I have a motion and a second. Any more discussion? All those in favor, please signify by raising your hand. 5-0. Okay. Item number 5, consider emergency approval for repairs to fire station number 6. Chief Byrd.
Don't worry, I'm not here to ask for a fire truck tonight.
Thank you.
I'm not going to outwear my asking. So we have run into a slight issue with the repairs of Station 6. We had originally gone through ACCG, insurance. We had done some informal bidding. ACCG had assisted us with looking at those bids, and initially they were going to handle paying the contractors. So we were moving forward, then they have stepped back and said they realize now they're not able to. So now we're in the place where we, as the county, have to pay. Now they're going to send us money and so forth, and they already started sending us checks. But I'm asking permission to do an emergency procurement for informal bids, which we have already received 4 bids. They had been evaluated by ACCG, and we had compared them. They had actually had some building engineers review them and some adjusters, and we were very comfortable with who was going to do the work. But if we have to step back now and do RFPs and so forth, we're looking 45, 60 days before we could ever pick back up construction. And right now, they're not a 24-hour station. They are there during the day, but they're still going to City of Griffin Station 1 by 8 p.m. every night. So I'm asking for permission, and I have all the proposals in front of me, and I can give you the price, the breakdowns of the three that we have. So I am requesting permission to move forward and do an informal bid, awarded based on what we've already received, and go ahead and continue with the rebuild of Station 6.
All right.
And you questions, you want me to give you the amounts first, or do you want to ask questions after? How do you want to go?
Let's have amounts.
What's our deductible, by the
I
way?
kind of don't want to hear.
As bad as that is, I'd like to.
That's why I led where I'm not asking for.
What's our deductible? What's our deductible?
Lead with that first. So the lowest bid is actually 197,883.
197,883.
That's not
Okay,
nearly as
the-
bad as I thought it was going to be.
The next highest is 200,644.
Okay.
The next is 232,875.
232, 640.
And the top, which was way out there, was 338,496. Georgia Design and Remodel was the low bid, and they had done some work for us already with, we're going back and resurfacing our bay floors because they were 30 years old. They were looking kind of rough. We're very happy with the work and their customer service. And he's actually done some demo work in the station to kind of get it prepped. But that's who we recommend we go with. But again, this is stepping outside normal procurement procedures, so that's why I'm before you.
May I ask a question? So we're not going through the normal bidding process is what you're saying.
No, ma'am.
We don't have time to
We
do that.
don't have time. When it was going to ACCG, they asked for the quotes. We actually got 4 instead of 3. They were good with it, but this, when they realized internally they weren't able to do what they originally thought they were able to do. So this will take us outside normal bidding procedures.
So explain to me, I'm not understanding what it is that ACCG was supposed to be doing.
They are our insurance carrier, and as a result, they were to help move things along because we had a fire station shut down. They were just going to receive all the bids, and they were going to pay the contractors directly minus our deductible.
So they've already done a bidding process, but then they realized they couldn't do the whole
We
thing.
actually collected the bids for them and sent them to them for their review.
So essentially, everyone who wanted to bid has. We're not doing something that's, we just, instead of restarting the time and redoing the
Well,
bids.
I am going to say, we did not advertise it. We reached out and found out through our maintenance people, anybody that's done previous work in our areas, reached out to them, asked them to come in and do an evaluation.
Oh, it's proactive.
Okay. Who reached out? Is this ACCG reaching out, or was
No,
this?
it was myself and Lance Griffin reached out to find contractors we were aware of that had done work for the county in the past or done work that we were aware of and asked them to come do the evaluations.
Is this all legal? Maybe the wrong word, but I want to make sure that we're all.
That's I wanted to add. What is our policy that allows us to go outside of our normal
Well,
bidding
that's
process?
why he's here, because it would be the emergency procurement policy.
Okay.
That's
As
correct.
opposed to your standard bid process.
So we have an emergency
We do.
So-
process, and that's
Just
what
like
he was
we told
doing.
you.
And now we're,
Yes.
okay.
So Glenn, Chief Byrd, how much money are we out of pocket with this up front?
As of right now, we're not out of pocket any,
Okay.
maybe $6,000 for what we paid out for the demo work. But we've already received checks back from ACCG, so we're really not in the negative any at this point.
That's good.
ACCG paid the cleanup crews directly that came in and deconned the fire living quarters so that the people could stay there during the daytime. And they're continually, they have air scrubbers in there right now. And they come in twice a day and replace the filters on those air scrubbers. So really, we're not out of pocket any right now. And when they have received money, they've already paid us for the ladder truck. They took our $25,000 dollar deductible out of that payment, so.
Absorbed it. Okay.
So is this turnkey? I mean, this work that you're suggesting that you're saying needs to be done, does this mean that when this work is complete, they're moving back in to the building? The building can be humanly occupied, that bay area or whatever? Or is there something else that I have to?
I'm gonna say, to my knowledge and every question I've thought to ask, the answer is yes to that. But with anything, I can't give you 100% guarantees, but they have assured me when it's done, they're ready to move back in. I can't promise once they start doing this work and digging in, they might not find something else.
They
It's-
will.
But
So I'm gonna ask a stupid question, yeah.
They'll fund.
What kind of fire suppression stuff do we have inside of that building?
we do not have any fire suppression other than the truck that burned up. But what
Yeah.
we do have is we're going back and installing in Station 1, which is our two-story station, and now currently has a alarm system being installed that is it's called a heat detector, but it actually senses sudden rates of rise in heat that will alert our firefighters, which they weren't this time. And in the process of this rebuild at Station 6, it will have it added as well, and we're slowly but sure hitting all our fire stations. But we do not have sprinkler systems except for our Station 7, which was the newest station built, which is 15 years, Chief Holt? About 15 years.
So this work does not call for having a sprinkler system put in? I'm just, if one truck can blow up, why won't we be trying to make sure that anything that we're putting back would actually,
Just to make a point, I mean, I know this is probably out of the realm and talking about in future. You can expect our insurance to go up drastically, because I'm looking at, okay, that's a vehicle that's in there that we had to file a claim for. It's the station itself. So we know that next year, when y'all do the budget, next year when you're doing this, you're going to have to figure that in, because the insurance is going to go skyrocket. So that's something we got to look forward to next year.
County manager, can we put this in as an additional thing, part of the emergency? An addition of adding in fire suppression in their system?
We can, just to give you an idea of what the price is gonna be. Yeah, you're talking at a minimum, $100,000 for a fire suppression system, plus the vault that's gonna be required to bring additional water in. Fire suppression systems are extremely expensive, but it is something that we have been talking about a lot.
If I can make a suggestion, we can move forward with the repairs. And when you add sprinkler systems, if they're in an existing structure, it can be very cumbersome and expensive. But if we just add it to the Bay Area, it's wide open all the way up to the ceiling, it wouldn't be as a big a deal.
Correct.
So what we can do is go ahead and repair the station, then start doing a RFP process for adding a suppression system if you would like. And then we could bring you back that prices to give you a realistic idea of what we would be looking at.
Talk,
And we would
talk to
look
ACCG as well to see if that would offset any increase in our, insurance rate.
It
Hey,
should, with
you know,
sprinkler system should.
Yep.
Right, right.
And-
That's
and
done.
just to add on, that is something that we would recommend to do for all of our stations.
Yeah.
And, this Gary Reed might actually take number 2, because headquarters would be number 1, because of the living quarters are directly over the Bay Area. And we need to make sure that we're protecting our people.
It would be easier, but especially because of the water system in that area, but when we get out to Blaylock Station,
Yeah.
It's gonna be tough.
and really even Station 2 and Cabin and then that so forth, it's gonna be a little more difficult with the water that's available out there. But Station 1 would be quite easy. Now, we have taken some emergency measures to make sure they have escape routes at Station 1 and with this alarm system going in place. So we are a little more confident with that. It was very much an eye-opener for us.
Yeah, let's separate the two actions. Let's get this one done, and then let's pass on to the fire folks. Hey, start the action, bring it to us on what it's gonna cost to be able to do that in phases, so we can say, hey, we've got an extra $350,000, we'll put that against it and take care of that. Oops, here, the county manager has found another $250,000, let's take care of that one as we go along.
Well, you'll never hear me
So-
arguing about putting a sprinkler in. So.
will this money for this come out of the fire tax fund?
What is not covered by insurance would come out of the fire fund.
Yeah, I just have a real concern, because in my brain, I cannot imagine how many buildings, of the buildings that we have renovated, of the buildings that we have built, that don't have sprinklers.
Yes,
I'm
ma'am.
just,
Oh,
Yeah, that's crazy.
why would we even do that? And how come nobody knew to?
We're
I'm
very
just-
fortunate.
across the way, when we talk about buildings from now on, please kick us and say, hey, did you all remember to do this, so that we get that nudge as we go along?
Yes, sir. I'll make a
I
note of it.
believe now, anything we add has a very good plan review process and so forth, and stuff like that would be recommended during that time
Yes,
through
it would.
community development in our offices.
You actually do
No.
not.
Okay, do I have a motion to approve the emergency repairs of Fire Station 6?
Motion to approve.
All right, I have a motion, do I have a second?
Second.
I have a motion and a second. Any more discussion?
Fire department has our full support.
Thank you. I do appreciate that as always.
All right, all those in favor, please signify by raising your hand. 5-0, motion carries.
Thank you. I'll have the
Thank you, Chief.
contractors back to work tomorrow.
Thanks.
Thank you all so much.
Item number 6, consider resolution of support for the Griffin Spalding County Area Regional Airport Authority Act, which is currently before the governor for execution. Let's start with county manager, and we'll move from there.
So I received an email from Representative Beth Camp on Tuesday afternoon, asking us to consider a resolution for support of the monies provided by the governor through the amended 24 budget for the construction of our new airport. What you have before you is a joint resolution that was signed earlier today by Mayor Holberg and City Manager Jessica O'Connor that highlights our support for the new airport. If the BOC would like for me to read the resolution, I'll be more than happy to do so, but I believe you have already received a copy of it. Also in the audience this evening is Dr. Randy Peters from the Airport Authority, who could answer any questions, and our county attorney could provide additional input for this resolution as well, as she's been intimately involved in from both the Airport Authority and from the county's side.
Dr. Peters, why don't you come forward, and before we get into questions, let's first get the briefing, and then that may answer everything.
Well, let me tell you a story. That's probably the best way to
Oh, my
approach
God.
this. About a year and a half ago, the Airport Authority completed our business plan, submitted it to GDOT for approval and to the FAA. The FAA came back and asked for a meeting shortly after our terrible tornado damage. In fact, there were still some streets closed when the FAA came down here to meet. And we talked about the budget and how we're going to pay to build the airport. At that time, the FAA told us, well, and rather than paying 90% of the cost, which was our understanding of it, they said, well, we're going to give you $10 million for each of the next 4 years, and then we're out. And when they did that, that left about a $40 million gap in being able to pay for the reasonable cost of the construction of the airport, all of our estimates and everything. We subsequently met with them again later in the spring, and we traveled to the FAA offices up in Atlanta. And it's not just that we're only going to give you $40 million, but we want to be the last $40 million in the pot. So you guys are going to have to come up with that $40 million gap before we give you any more money. That put us in a real pickle. Their assumption was that the Airport Authority would come to you and ask for $20 million, and then go to the city and ask them for $20 million, and everybody would be happy. And we made a pretty clear point of saying, you know, that ain't going to happen. I mean, any contingency money that either of those bodies had was, you know, taken away through the tornado damage. So we've been working that ever since. And conversation with Senator Marty Harbin. And he says, well, you know what we need to do? We need to go to the Lieutenant Governor and see if we can get some assistance from the state. Sound like a good plan to me. So we met with him. And his plan was that the state would take over our project and do a state bond. And in this meeting was also the commissioner for the GDOT, and several others. And they would take it over. It would be a state airport. You know, we all looked around the table and said, well, we answer to GDOT anyway for policy and procedure. We answer to the FAA for safety and all of that sort of thing. So, yeah, I don't see that being a big deal. Then in this legislative session, we were invited by Senator Harbin to come to the Capitol and to make a pitch for the money. Even if it had been bonded, it had to be appropriated by the legislature. So we did that. Rather than doing a bond, when the legislators took over the process to appropriate the money, rather than doing a bond, they put cash in the supplemental budget for the current FY. That was the House. We thought, that's very interesting. And then the Senate took action, did the very same thing, and so the total came out to be 47 million and some change. Working with GDOT, you know, we assumed the normal process for how state dollars are expended and all of that. I got a phone call from the intermodal director, who we work with routinely at airports, and he says, "Hey, I've got good news." And I thought he was going to tell me that the Senate had approved the money, and so we were going to get the money to fill that gap. And he said, "I've got all the approvals in hand that I need, and normally GDOT money is 75-25. It's 25% local match." And I had made it clear to them, we didn't have 25% local match, no matter how much they were going to give us. We didn't have that. And he said, "Well, I've got all the approvals. We're going to waive the 25% match." So that 47,200,000-something is 100% to the for the benefit of the airport. We won't have to do a match for those funds. The House approved it, the Senate approved it. Representative Camp was carrying the local legislation for that. The issue became, if we're going to give you guys $40 million, we can't just give that much money from the state to one county. It's going to have to be a multi-county operation. So we said, okay, well, that's what was necessary. That's what we'll do. Representative Camp then carried the local legislation to make a regional airport authority. And it wasn't until this week, when both the House and the Senate had passed on the appropriation, and it went to the governor, and the governor decided, well, he needed letters of support for that. And that's why this came about. None of us were aware of this requirement or that it was even an issue until this week. And so it's at the behest of the governor, prior to him signing the legislation, that gives us $47.2 million. So that's why we are where we are today.
Okay. Stephanie, would you like to, you've been intimately familiar with this, add anything?
Yeah, Stephanie is also the authority, the airport authority attorney as
I
well.
believe that Dr. Peters has covered it thoroughly.
Okay. I'll make sure everybody has an opportunity. All right.
Yeah.
Let's ask questions at this point.
Okay, because I do have a question, Mr. Chairman.
ma'am.
This resolution and the not attached, but the legislation that would have created this authority, I know that that happens in the General Assembly.
Right.
But while we are lobbying for whatever else it is we're lobbying for, I have a concern that out of 11 seats on the board, 5 of those seats are going to be held by employees, which are county managers. Everybody knows that a county manager's lifespan is not that long. And in today's time, I know personally it can end like this. So in the way that we've done everything on this board, every time we've appointed someone, it is an appointment made by this board. So I'm not really understanding how come a majority, potentially a majority of that board is going to be made up of county managers who are hired administrators to make decisions about what the regional airport authority is going to do. The other thing is some of the language in there talks about a trustee, but there's no definition of what the trustee is when it refers to the city, the county, and this joint airport authority. I have lots of questions because the document states that it will be a benefit to Monroe, Butts, Lamar, I think maybe it might have been even Pike. But other than we need all those people's names on the paper, who else, what kind of skin in the game do they have? I'm just trying to understand, because the authority that you presently have now are individuals that the city commission and the county commission chose to sit on that board so that they would represent the entire community.
And to my understanding, those 5 people, aside from the 2 city commissioners and 2 county commissioners, would be the same people. I think it would still be the same. And that would be up to you. You could appoint somebody else if you wanted to.
That's correct. You
But-
still have the same citizen appointments.
Yeah, there would still be
The
5
county
of
and the-
those.
and the city
So
still
how many
have the
people are on the
same
airport
citizen.
authority now?
There are 9 now. The legislation would require 11.
So but it says that a quorum is five people there.
Correct.
Okay, 5 of the people that are there can potentially decide what is going on, and no one has elected them to make those decisions for them. That is what my concern is. That signing this paper automatically triggers what is in the document that will be following this, which is the,
So the thought with allowing for the quorum to remain as it currently is was because we don't really expect that the other jurisdictions have that much interest and will be engaged.
I would be very surprised if anybody other than Butts, because they had already expressed interest before any of this started, and possibly Pike, because their industrial park is close to the Spalding County line. I don't think the others probably would have much interest.
It'd be weird if Monroe County drove it.
Yeah, yeah. But it was, in order to, as Representative Knight explained it to me, $10 million in the legislature is a heavy lift.
Yeah.
And you guys are asking us for 40. You don't know how heavy that lift is. And that, the regional authority was the necessity to get the 47 million to that.
no
to that
problem
amount.
with the regional authority. I have a problem with the fact that 5 of the members are employees. That's what, and the reason I have a problem with that, because it goes against every kind of appointment that we've ever made on this board, and probably on the board of city commission as well. So I don't know who helped to orchestrate that language, but I don't think it does justice for us, because we have been in this with the city from the beginning. And now, all of a sudden, and there haven't been any city managers or county managers voting, on any of these boards. And I think it's going to be set in a very ugly precedent, because if you can do it there, you'll be able to do it anywhere else. And why is it necessary now to change this to a place where a document from the state, and I'm not interrogating you,
No, I
I'm
understand.
sharing with you my concerns.
Yeah.
A document from the state now tells us that we have to have our county manager not attend the meeting, not be a liaison, but be a voting member. That is
Or their
a big
designee,
problem.
Or their designee, yeah.
Or
Well,
does
yeah,
it?
but it would, what it permits is 5 members appointed by the city and county commissioners, which is as it is now. That's no change. As it currently stands, we have 9 members. We have 5 appointed like that, 2 city commissioners and 2 county commissioners. I think in order, I wasn't involved in the writing of it, but I think the thinking was, if you have 2 city commissioners, 2 county commissioners, and then you add 2 more county commissioners from each of those other 4 counties, this board gets to be 15, 16, 17 people, and it gets to be unwieldy. And so I think the thinking was, well, if you, rather than using commissioners, if you put the manager there, or their designee, which could be a commissioner just as easily, whoever they designate, then that kind of limits the other counties to having only 1 person instead of 2 in each of those. I believe that's sort of how the math works out.
And practically speaking, I think the thought was getting elected officials from those other jurisdictions was going to be difficult. If we continue to make that board larger and larger, you can't leave the quorum number at 5 members, and we would never be able to meet because we would most likely never have a quorum present.
I get that about the quorum. My concern is that we have staff that are voting members, and not a small. Now, clearly, you guys have had some conversation with
Yes.
the creation of this legislation. And I hear what you're saying, but by that same token, that was a consideration that was against those people. Because as far as I'm concerned, if they're in the regional airport, they should have equal representation.
Well, yeah.
So,
I
yeah,
see the argument.
the only concern I
Except-
have is that the fact that you're telling us, or y'all are telling us, that this piece of paperwork that many of us just found out about yesterday, that has all of this accompanying documentation, is being put before us without us having enough time, because I don't work, so I can sit down and read every piece of paper. But what about those people who have things that they do? And we've sat here and talked on multiple occasions about the fact that if something comes to us as an emergency, the fire station is not gonna be able to be built, I consider that an emergency. We have a meeting on Monday. I don't know why this is an emergency tonight.
And can you speak on that? Because I know there was kind of, we had talked about why this was not on the agenda on Monday. We know, but can you speak why it's not?
Yes, ma'am. So the email that I received from Representative Beth Kemp indicated that they were approaching Cindy Dye, and she was in desperate need of this resolution moving forward. She asked for a letter of support for the resolution even before the end of business day today, and I shared with her that I was unable to provide that for her, that this was a consideration by my board.
Cindy and I happened today. Today was it.
Right.
Today was the 28th, which was the last day for the General Assembly. So the laws were either passed or not passed, or they're going to go to the next year. I don't know whether she pushed that thing through.
Well, that's my question. If it's still sitting on the table, because I looked through the legislation that was being passed, and I didn't see anything even for the legislation coming from our delegation. So if it's not really in there yet, because there's nowhere we can read it as far as legislation that's up, why are we getting beat down about having to make this approval on documents that we have not had a chance to study? I'm looking at you.
What's the likelihood of us, let's just look at the worst case scenario, and we know what that is.
What?
If we don't adopt this, or we're basically saying that we're not participating and we don't get the 47 million, are we saying that? So, I mean, are we trying to say that, is what I'm trying to say. I mean, I
believe
don't,
that's what the situation is.
I don't.
Well,
I think the governor is looking for, the resolution really and truly for me was, does Spalding County specifically, and now Spalding County and the city of Griffin, agree with getting the $47 million into a new airport? That's
But attached to this
Yep,
resolution
I-
is the other information.
Yes. When I
Which
first
is-
saw it, I thought, oh, this is easy. All we're looking for is a letter of support. We can do that easily.
I have the whole water authority, airport, all of this about decisions that we make that we're not gonna be here in 5 years or 10 years when the airport is finished. And some other people will have to look at how we bound them up into a whole, because we didn't read the stuff that we had.
Let's talk about the resolution. The resolution is us, really, right? We can take out the part that says anything about the law, because the law is not us. That's what Representative Camp is trying to do. I thought it was just really a reference so that we would know what the reference is, because it either passed or didn't pass. She doesn't get another option because the last day of the General Assembly is done.
It's
Can we-
over.
Can we rewrite the, I'm exploring
Sure.
here.
What are our
Can we
options?
rewrite the resolution to say, we support this effort without getting
What was
into?
the ask from?
Yeah, the ask was specifically about supporting the effort as it's written here. Do I think that we could go back and have a conversation with our legislators about how to structure the airport, the new airport authority? Absolutely, because I did not see that had even been considered. I think
Except that if,
It's referenced in
it's
this
referenced,
resolution.
but I don't think the actual wording for that
It's-
local legislation was adopted. I didn't see where it was adopted yet for the Regional Airport Authority.
So
Well, that's my
But
point.
even if it is, it also has to be adopted by the other chamber. And if they're different, they'll have a meeting about how to
They'll put it in
reconcile those
committee and
differences.
work it out.
Yeah.
but if it's not, if it is not heard, then it has to wait until January of 2025.
Right.
Yeah, this is all gonna be moving. Now, I would like to see us rewrite the resolution to say we support the effort, irregardless of the law. Get the law out of that thing and say we support this effort that, of getting the new airport for $47 million. I think what the governor really wants is, hey, county, city, do you all support this effort?
Yeah.
And I think our answer is, we support that effort. So can
Because an option is not have a airport. I mean, the option is to not get a $40 million and then.
Can, all right, is that
That's-
county manager and attorney, is this doable?
I do believe it's doable, but if you look at 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6.
Is it doable by tonight? Because that's
Well,
when it has to be done.
That's the question that I'm going to pose. If you look at the sixth, whereas there is a proposed legislation that
There
would
is
create.
proposed legislation.
There is a proposed legislation. It has not been finalized for the creation of the Griffin Spalding Area Regional Authority. So that language, as it stands in this resolution, indicates that it is proposed, but it has not been agreed to nor adopted by local legislation. So that regional airport authority, the way that it's structured, could be negotiated to include the comments that you've indicated that you want in there. Adopting this resolution, I do not see that we are bound by a regional airport authority as it's structured, the way that you've seen it with the county managers as a voting member. I do see that as a proposed legislation, you would have the opportunity to go back to our local legislators and ask them to reconsider that language inside the airport authority local legislation.
But it would be January of next year before you can do that.
Don't disagree. I think that there is, even today, I think that it would be a requirement to take it back for January of next year for that discussion because the way that this resolution is written.
Okay.
Do you see it differently?
I kind of I'm lost now. Can we get a resolution tonight to support?
I think the resolution as is is based on proposed legislation. The legislation that is proposed will, I mean,
Be
if
triggered.
if we have to get it done tonight, which we do have to, it has to be done tonight. I mean, it has to be to the state tonight. And if it's not, then I'm not confident that the Senate will actually even pass the resolution at all, and therefore, we will not get the money that we need to finish this airport.
There's plenty of other senators and House Representatives members who would love to spend that $40 million somewhere else.
Oh, yeah.
So,
But even with that said, this authority will have nothing to do for
present
for
airport.
years. So getting something, getting an amendment in January of 2025 to any legislation will not be an issue because this authority is going to be, it's kind of like some of the joint development authorities that we have. They don't do anything until there's something they have to do. And there's nothing that this authority will have to do because the Griffin Spalding Airport Authority currently owns the property, has the contracts with the consultant, will be purchasing the next group of properties in Phase 2 property acquisition. So this regional authority, until we actually start turning dirt, it will have no real purpose.
Okay.
Look, I get what
Right.
y'all are saying. I'm not opposed to getting money from anybody. All I'm opposed to is being locked into something that we don't seem to have any,
I think we'll
wording
take
in
those
it.
points back to Representative Camp and to Senator Harbin to say, hey, in your legislation, we have a concern about this portion of it. Strike this, rechange that to be able to do that. But, okay.
And they have those sorts of conversations with different groups every year.
All right. Just so everybody remembers, Commissioner for Department of Transportation had $90 million for airports. 47.2 comes to us. There were a lot of people in the state who were not happy because we got that money, mainly because Dr. Peters' strong arm, his watch your eyes are sleepy.
you don't get it till the ink is dry. So as far as I'm concerned, if it ain't dry yet, We don't got it.
Dr. Peters also traveled to DC
DC.
to get us some
Okay.
federal earmarks
Thank you,
as
Dr.
well.
All
Peters.
right, do I have a motion to approve?
Motion to approve.
Do I have a second?
Second.
I have a motion and a second. Any more discussion?
We appreciate your hard work.
Yes,
Yes.
definitely.
Thank
All
you,
right,
Dr.
all
Peters.
those in
Thank you.
favor,
And your
please
step.
raise your hand. All those opposed? 4-1, motion carries. Dr. Peters, please thank the Lieutenant Governor, Senator Harbin, Representative Camp, Representative Knight, and Representative
Mathiak.
and
Mathiak
several
on
others
trying to
involved,
get
yeah.
this thing through.
We will do that.
A year
Lord knows
ago,
we need the money.
I
If they
saw
get that
almost
money,
zero
I'm
chance
gonna
of this
run up
happening.
Solomon
in-
Street in no shoes.
Well, when I first
I was gonna say
came to
no
the authority
clothes,
and I
but
started
I'm
meeting
no
with
shoes.
Representative Knight, I started almost every conversation I had with him with, the good news is I didn't quit again today. But I think things are looking much brighter than they ever have. We're as close as we have ever been at this moment. So,
That says a whole lot, by the way.
thank you
Fingers
very much. We
crossed.
appreciate it.
Yeah.
Thank you. All right, item number 6, old business. Lift from the table and consider approval of a resolution to enter into an IGA with Butts County regarding Hillwood development located in both Butts and Spalding County. Do I have a motion to lift? Okay, I have no motion to lift. We'll move on. Item 2, lift from the table and consider, 1, application 23-08Z, Lillian Agner, William R. Woodward Jr., John P. Woodward, and Parks W. Cowell Sr., owners of Hillwood Development Company, LLC, agent approximately 6.14, 13.328, 4.226, and .12 acres located in land lots 25 and 26 of the Second Land District. The applicant requests to rezone from AR1, agriculture and residential, and R2, single-family residential district, to C1C, manufacturing light. Now, we're going to take these one at a time, or?
Well,
My
Chair,
understanding was there was no need to do the variances.
yes, ma'am. So we, if you have in front of you, and we also will have on the screen, an updated site plan in response to some of the comments that were made back in November. And if the BOC is agreeable to the site plan revisions, the 2 variances will no longer be necessary.
Oh, great.
All right, so,
Didn't hear a motion to lift. Was there a motion?
Motion to lift item 28-08Z, only that one, Hillwood Development Company, rezoning from AR1 to
okay, that's the
C1C.
one that the other 2 are variances that we're not going to work with.
Yes,
Okay.
sir.
I have a motion to lift. Do I have a second?
Second.
I have a motion and a second. Any discussion?
Yes, sir.
No, sorry, there's a motion to lift from the table we can't discuss.
Yeah, I'm sorry.
No,
Yes, you're right.
no.
All those in favor signify by raising your hand. 5-0, motion carries to lift. Thank you. All right. Do I have a motion to approve?
Mr. Chairman, I'd like to make a motion to approve
Application
application
23
23-08Z. I thought somebody was saying.
Okay, I have a motion. Do I have a second? I have a motion and a second.
With conditions and with the new site plan?
Yes, sir. Well,
think we're doing it for discussion.
with the conditions that include the site plan and the conditions.
Who seconded that motion?
Nobody did.
Nobody yet.
Because we're still trying to figure out what the
Crafting the
motion
motion.
is.
Yeah, all right.
So making
She
sure
needs
that
to
the
include,
motion
I guess she needs
includes
to
the.
include that
The,
motion.
not the original site plan, which is on the front, but the updated site plan, which is the second page.
Yes, and it's notated in the top left corner that it's the updated site plan.
Okay.
All right, so we have an application with an updated site plan.
Yes, sir.
That,
And conditions.
that's what your motion is. All
Yes.
right, do I have a
With
second?
conditions.
With conditions, would you read the conditions? I don't.
Okay. Yes, ma'am. Chairman, is that okay?
Please.
So I do want to note that these were conditions that have been amended to reflect a combination of the Planning Commission's approved conditions and some amendments that we are recommending after meeting with Hillwood earlier this week. So it is pending approval of the intergovernmental agreement between Spalding and Butts County, condition number 1. Condition number 2 is that it does include the approval of the site plan that we just referenced, that is noted in the top left corner as the updated site plan, dated 1/3/2004. Condition 3 is that any road line striping on public roadways must be used thoroughlast. Condition 4 is that any signage that's installed must comply with the manual on uniform traffic control devices. Condition 5, that the super paving, which is the thickness of 8, 2, and 2, those are the thicknesses of the layers. The first layer is 8 inches, the second is 2 inches, the third is 3 inches, in the length of 1,114 linear feet. And I believe there is a diagram to show.
The dark,
She's going to put it up there. To show that measure of paving.
the gray, is that just for the roadway or that for all
You
of the
have-
paving?
Eva should be able to pull it up.
I think they're trying to pull
And
it
you
up
may
now.
have it in front of you, yes, ma'am.
Okay.
Condition 6 is that no tractor trailers will be allowed to turn left out of the property onto Jackson Road, only to the right. Condition 7 is that with any necessary approvals, sidewalks would be installed within the rights-of-way on Jackson Road and Wallace Road frontages. Condition 8, that all lights or lighting arrangements for the purpose of signage, security, or night operations must be directed away from adjoining or nearby residential zoning. And condition 9, that there is a 25-foot undisturbed buffer with a 25-foot planted buffer on Wallace and Beulah roads. Also, there are no curb cut access onto Wallace or Beulah, which is basically to signify that no trucks will be using those roads for access, except for an emergency response gate, which will have a Knox box. And these amendments to these answer some of the concerns that we heard during the November meeting. I went back and watched the video so I could hear the comments from the Board of Commissioners. So
Mr.
those are
Chairman.
the 9 conditions that the staff would recommend for approval.
Mr. Chairman, you would need to delete condition number 1.
Yes.
I was
All
about
right,
to
we
say
all
that.
agree, we have to, we have not done condition 1, so we will delete it.
Scroll up to it.
That's the IGA.
So do I need to make my motion again, or that is my motion with the
Conditions.
revised site plan, the updated site plan, and the final staff recommendations minus item 1,
2 through 9.
So it would be
Yes, ma'am.
conditions 2.
accepting conditions 2 through 9.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay? Who seconded that?
There's
You don't
no
have a
second.
Do I have a second to that motion?
Second, I'll second.
Okay. I have a motion and a second. Any more discussion?
Mr. Chairman, I would just like to say that it is really good when someone comes to us and wants something, a building, and we give them feedback, and they actually come back and address the issues that we wanted. I think it was for me, it's a good thing that all of their parking and loading is on the inside of the lot, so we know that that's gonna protect any light issues. And in the areas where it looks like there would have been some issues with the stream and the stream bed, that is completely out of the area that they were building in. So, I mean, I think this is a much improved, no cars being able to come out on Jackson Road to the left. If we can get this kind of cooperation with people that come in
Right.
to build for us, this will be something quality for us. That's all I have to say.
I absolutely agree.
And we did the same with the Tamachichi
Yep.
issue. Hey, we want industrial to come, but we've got very high standards so that it doesn't disturb the people who are already here. We want you to come, we want you to be successful, but we don't want to, lights and horns and buses and
We know
so.
what we don't want it to look like.
That's right. That's right.
And I will commend the board on that. I got a little aggravated with Tomachichi going back and forth, but I can understand at the end.
Yeah.
I think that the people will see that we have a standard that we're trying to adhere to.
Right.
And then you need to follow the guidelines. So, You're right about that.
There's a lot of shouting in the kitchen
Yes.
before that nice meal comes out. Yeah.
Right.
All right, I'm pretty pleased with where
Yeah.
we are. Do you want to speak there? I thought that was the right answer. Okay, any more discussion? All those in favor, please signify by raising your hand. 5-0, motion carries. County manager, I see no purpose in an executive session.
Well,
We
what,
have-
what was this? Sorry, this was in our pile.
That's not you guys
Oh.
at Hillwood.
That's
That
my
is Hillwood,
oversight.
okay.
Part of one of the conditions about not turning right
Okay.
was that they had to put up barriers to make that clear, and they submitted an example of the barrier, and that's it.
Awesome.
Yes, ma'am, thank
Okay.
you.
Oh. It's good picture though.
I'm good.
All right. Any other comments on public zoning tonight?
Do we want to do commissioner comments or?
I would like to
I-
ask one question for the BOC. So for the April 25th meeting, we will be at ACCG in Savannah. Would the board consider holding that meeting on a different date? Or would you recommend that we postpone that meeting until May?
Well,
They don't
usually
work for
we
me, whatever
back
you
it
guys wanna do.
into the 15 April meeting. I know that one of the commissioners can't be here for the 15 April meeting. I would suggest we move it into the May meeting.
What are we anticipating? Do we have a lot of applications, do you think, on that? Are we missing something?
We have a lot of applications, but I
Yes.
can't tell you what will be ready. But if we pull it back, we may get into the tangle of the advertising requirement.
Correct.
So we're more comfortable with May.
May,
With what?
first meeting in
With
May.
The May
May.
meeting.
Yeah.
All right,
Yeah, April 15th is usually tough for my family too.
I can imagine.
okay.
May.
Yikes.
So with your consensus, we will notice the cancellation of the 25th meeting, and we will push those applications into the May discussion.
So that's
Okay.
May
A
23rd.
couple of comments. Today was graduation for firefighters. Thank you, Commissioner Dutton, for coming to that. 9 new firefighters and a new class has already started. It was exciting to see the young people there and families behind them. Don't forget, we have a work session on 1 April.
What time is
and then
that?
the BOC.
What time is that, 3 o'clock?
3 o'clock, yes, ma'am.
We've got budget meetings for us, starting April
8th
8th
through the 12th.
8th through the 12th. So everybody should have known about this for a while, so get ready for that.
Now, will that be morning meetings, or is that like we?
Yes, ma'am.
did before?
The intent is to have the schedule out to you Monday,
Okay.
so that you will know exactly which departments will be in front of you each one of the days that we have scheduled.
Okay.
So also, so everybody knows, tomorrow is
Good Friday
Vietnam Veterans Day. And lastly,
And Good
and
Friday.
Good Friday.
And Good Friday.
and Good Friday,
And our offices will be closed.
and our offices will be closed. Lastly, you all voted me to be the representative for the opioid settlement. I went and did that on Monday, and the nominations that ACCG made for everybody across the board for state, not only ACCG, but for the rest of the state, were unanimously approved in all 6 districts. So we'll see about how that's going to turn out. There's a lot of money at stake here to be able to do it. Applications will come into the Regional Advisory Commission, which is a RAC for 6th, and then they will come up to GOSAT, which is the Georgia Opioid Settlement Advisory Commission, and then go to Commissioner Tanner, who is the trustee of all the money. This is up to 18 years of money being spent, so these could be a while, but we voted and did all that stuff. And I was elected to be on the GOSAT, the Georgia Opioid Settlement Advisory Council. Region 6 passes it to the GOSAT, and the GOSAT takes it from there and recommends to the trustees. All right, Any other comments or anything else on calendars that we need to do something about?
Mr. Chairman, I would just like to say that I have been out to the shelter twice this week. It is the animal shelter. It is a completely different place.
For the better?
Good or bad?
It smells like somebody's house.
I didn't know what you was gonna say.
No, somebody, like regular people house.
Okay, okay. Well, I didn't know what you was gonna
Yeah,
say.
yeah.
Not a doghouse.
They are in the process of putting up 9 runs. Once it's dry enough and the cement can settle, the animals will have that area that they are able to run in. I was by there yesterday, and inmates are actually walking the dogs that are out there. We are working on the numbers, I think, and this is even before the new person came. We vetted and vaccinated and spayed or neutered approximately 20 animals in the past couple of weeks. So, they're ready for adoption. If you get a chance to go out there, they can use some encouragement because they haven't had any supervision in a while, but it is just amazing the difference.
Glad to hear
And hopefully, we will be able to get our volunteer adoption program and fostering program on track after they have some time to get their life together. Also, we didn't talk about this, but I did speak at length with the coroner because I think mostly I had concerns about what it was in the coroner's job that would require him to have a long vehicle. Well, he has an SUV, and you can't even fit a straw in the back with
Yeah.
backboards and body bags and tags and blah, 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 blah. That vehicle is not big enough for him. That's the first thing about him getting a vehicle from the city. The second thing is that it just never occurred to me, because we have such a large baby boomer population, that folks be dying on the regular. I mean,
That's not
Sun
funny,
City
but
is
that's
5 people a month.
Yeah.
So in real life, if we have to go and pay Haston McCullough or Westbury $300 so that they will put a body there until GBI can get them, or until the funeral home comes, it just makes sense for us to have our own place.
Yep.
The other thing that he shared with me is that the same way he's having to pay a funeral home is the same way the county could generate revenue if we have those spaces for people to put refrigeration of bodies. But, we're a different community. We didn't think that we could have a tornado that would tear up everything in town. But we did.
Yeah.
We didn't think our fire station could burn down. We didn't think that we'd see 4 refrigeration trucks out at Wellstar because they had bodies all in them. So I think that the things that he's asking for are certainly justified. And I just hate to think that if I'm the one laying on the slab and I ain't got nobody to come pick me up, they're trying to figure out where they're gonna stick me so I can stay full. So yeah, I just want to let you guys know that I looked at the space that they're trying to use in the old animal shelter. It's just a small amount of space. Still leaves space for office and all of the kennels and everything. So I just think that, yeah, that's probably something we should have really looked at a little bit before now.
2 quick things whenever.
Before I forget, we all thank you, Commissioner
Yes.
Flowers Taylor, for what you're doing at the animal
Yes,
shelter.
definitely.
That is great work for all of us, and your direct effort is making
Absolutely.
things better for our furry friends. So thank you for that.
Absolutely.
You're welcome.
2 quick things. I just can't thank Dr. Peters enough for your help, with what you're doing here with this airport. I remember when I first got on this board almost 12 years ago, that was one of the one of the most difficult decisions that we actually made for the then board when we decided to adopt that new airport, and we did not put it to vote. So I want to say thank you for making sure that comes to fruition. It's a big deal. And lastly, I just want to say congratulations to the appointments of our county attorney and our zoning attorney. I'm glad to be working with you. Good direction. That's it.
Thank you.
Well,
Same.
before,
Yeah,
if
please.
you don't mind, I appreciate the opportunity to continue to work. As my proposal showed, I don't intend to work all that much longer.
We reject that.
As long
However-
as you want
You're
a
allowed.
job.
Because he's
However-
lazy.
However, what, Stephanie?
Because he's lazy.
However, I have talked to the chairman about a proposed course of action over the next couple of years, which Commissioner Dudden is tied to raising the bar.
Very good.
We appreciate you coming back and
Listen, as I said, but when I interviewed, I said, I don't know how you interview for something you've done for 29 years, but we're
Yeah.
not done yet.
Yeah.
The county's not done.
Exactly.
Mr. Chairman, I would like to also ask that when we have our workshop, that we have a discussion about the zoning book. I'm only into like the section number 9, but some things are really confusing to me, but I'm just not sure, based on what we said we wanted to do to raise the bar, that it's really necessary to change so many things. And I'm saying that not to challenge what the work that's been done, but I would feel better now if Newton had actually been the reviewer and Sylvia had been the reviewer, and then I could be the second set of eyes. And I say that because Commissioner Dutton has always talked about the quality of the material. That's always been his thing on how we
One of the
raise the
things, one of
bar.
the things.
Yeah, one of his things about what we do to raise the bar. And we need to figure out what those things are for us. I didn't know where some of the stuff in there came from, but when I saw the city of Canton, which was, we forgot to take that out, I'm like, we're not really that community. So we got some stuff broken. I'm not gonna read anymore. I'm gonna wait until planning and development and Steve and the zoning guy looks at this, because I think we need to figure out if it's just going to be building materials, if it's gonna be aesthetics, then let's call it and name it what it is. And if there's stuff that's not broken,
I would like to have a little later session about what that raising the bar means to us. When Mr. Newton came and briefed us on his, during his interview, he made a pretty specific stuff about what raising the bar
Right.
looks like.
He did.
And we need to sit down and say, here's what our vision is and here's what the metrics are that we're going to talk about. We've got to sit down and do that. And it's not just in the book. There's other things that we've got to do if we're going to raise the bar in the county.
Right.
Yeah.
The whole county.
Right.
So we've got to be able to sit down there and just can't focus on just the zoning issue.
Yeah.
There's more to it than that. And maybe we'll have a little discussion on the first Monday, just to start getting us thinking about it. And then we'll move from there into
think that's
probably a
smart.
whole session where we say a workshop on just raising the bar around our county.
So Newton, what I propose is your presentation that you gave us, you do it again for us.
Yeah.
I'm just saying, since there were 3 of us that were here, so.
Well,
we heard
understand,
that.
I'm not suggesting that the house I grew up in constitutes raising the bar, but y'all have to decide what it means.
Right.
You have to decide how you want your county to look and what you want it to be, and then we need benchmarks as to
Exactly.
whether you meet it. Now, over the past years, we've increased requirements related to zoning. Now, and we made changes when some of those didn't work, and when we saw, for example, raising the bar does not necessarily mean just increasing house square footage.
Exactly.
Right.
Right?
No, it doesn't.
All right, we learned that the hard way with 2 subdivisions on Vineyard Road. But y'all have to look at it and not have it addressed piecemeal when
Yeah.
Hillwood comes in or a residential developer comes in. And there may be different standards for that bar depending upon geographic differences in the county.
Yeah.
But that was the sum and substance of what I had to
Yes.
say.
Yeah, we need to sit and talk about that, because the real question is, what do we want to look like? We're talking a lot about sewer. What do we want to look like? How big, how far? There, you know, we got the people issue that we're voting on with the budget this time. We've got the sewer, and we've got economic development. We've got to kind of make sure we understand what we want. We did a pretty good job on Tomachichi. We did a pretty good job on Hillwood, what we're trying to get done. But we've got to talk some more. There's more to it than just that.
Right.
So we'll talk a little bit about it on Monday,
Okay.
and then get ready to say, all right, let's pick a date and sit
Say
down
this
and
will
say,
be done.
how do we raise the bar countywide? All right? Any other comments or?
Yes.
Yeah, I got one. The mayor of Orchard Hill says the city of Orchard Hill has been working with Lisa Perkins in hopes of getting a couple grants to help improve our little town. We are trying to obtain one for an e-library. Is there any way that we could, that you could write a letter in support of this on county letterhead? It would help in the application process. So he's asked me to bring that to the board tonight. All we just need is sort of a, you know,
I think you can
support.
just
Can
head
we-
nod and direct the
yeah,
county
yeah, I don't think it
manager
needs an
to do
official vote,
that.
like, can we get Steve to,
We all
and then,
have-
and then
we
you
have
sign it as the
consensus
chair
on
and
that. Let-
just kind of
let
general
Steve
consensus.
do something for,
It's an e-library for Orchard Hill,
grab your pen and,
yeah.
all right? Yeah.
That, I know that it's a huge headache to have to come in and sort of reapply for your jobs every year, but we're not, we can't keep doing things like we did in the 1950s, right? These can't be backroom stuff. This is a transparent process that we all have to go through. And I'm glad that we've got such quality people willing to come in and do the job. And I know that it's an extra hassle, but all the sunshine laws from the government's point of view are an extra hassle because we have to do them. But they're all very, very important. And so I'm really glad that we've pulled Spalding County, you know, one more step towards increased transparency. So I know that it's a hassle, guys, but we appreciate the RFPs and how the quality work that we got back.
I haven't had to do a resume since 1995.
Mine's not quite that old, but
Any other comments?
No other comments?
Mr. Chairman, when are we going to discuss the IGA with Butts County? Will that be Monday? We said two weeks ago, or whenever we were at the meeting, that we were not gonna talk about, we were not gonna look at this at this point. But if there are some specifics, I know Stephanie sent us an addendum to a comment. I think we need to, you know, if you really think we're gonna have to be partners with them for the airport, and we gotta do this other stuff, we just need to not be dancing around on this. We need to come up with the stuff that it is, that we want to say. If there's nothing else, don't say it, but whatever it is, let's do it and get it out of our hair. Let them be stuck with it to figure out.
Okay, Monday is pretty quick for getting that done.
By Monday.
Let's look at it on the 15th, bring it back to us on the 15th, and we'll look at, see where we are. There's a number of issues at stake. Remember, this is a fire truck.
Yeah, I'm hoping to be here for the work session on Monday, but my son has a field trip that I'm chaperoning, so
Cool.
I
Okay,
expect to
thank
be
you.
back. but
Everybody else gonna
I
be
might be in
here?
hiking gear still.
Okay. Do I have a motion
Not to adjourn. Second.
All right. Any more discussion? All those in favor, please signify by raising your hand. We're adjourned. Thank you all.